war rages across the mortal realms. New alliances are formed while others lie shattered, and the dominant powers ever seek their next conquest. As these two powerful forces prepare to clash, only one will rise victorious when the dust settles. While this and countless other battles rage on, one fact is becoming clear. The season of war has begun. This video is brought to you by the support of our channel members and the FLGS Partners, Warfire Minis, and X-Planet. Looking for a painting commission? Check out artwstudio.com.
Hello and welcome to Season of War! Today we are excited to bring you another game of Age of Sigmar. Excited, Zach, to have you back after a little hiatus.
Yep.
Especially to debut your, was this your oldest?
Oldest and most favorited.
Yeah, most favorite army. Debuting the new Ogor Mawtribes, so excited to have this one come out. Coming out a week after release, but there's just so much been going on with so many books coming out that, couldn't get all the battle reports out at the same time, but still excited for these guys.
Should be lots of fun. Always fun having the fat guys on the table.
Yes, yeah, you've been playing a lot with, over the past few months with the Stonehorns and trying the Beastclaw Raiders side of things, but I know you always say your first love was the Foot Ogres, so.
Yep, and we'll see how they perform today. A little bit of a spoiler, they did get a little bit better. Yep. So excited for that. Nice.
And just before we dive into things, do want to say a big thank you to Dane's Workshop, who has sent us the new Battletomes for free to review and play games and get them out early. So super excited to be able to, with their support, bring you guys content even earlier with the new Battletomes. Hopefully they space them out nicely for us to make it even easier. But excited to bring you guys that new content. And what else? Let's jump into the mission. We're playing head-on collision here, so 3 objectives across the center in our beautiful Shaiish battlefield. And it's not hold 1, 2 more. It's 1 point for your home objective, 2 points for the center one, 4 points for your opponents. No story in the first battle round. And if you claim an objective that you didn't previously control and you have a Galatian veteran unit on it, you score a bonus victory point. So some extra points. We have a lot of GVs on the table between us, so it'll be hopefully a fun match here. I'm sure it'll be a fun match, but hopefully a good match. And that's it for the mission. Zach, do you want to take us through your list?
Yeah, so exciting new changes across the board, but starting off with the Tyrant here, he's my general. His command trait is Killer Reputation,
cool.
So that gives him an extra big name. It's awesome too, because it's not when you're doing your list building, it's actually when right before you set him up.
Nice.
So he has Death Cheater and Fate Seeker, so that's +1 to his save and also a 5-up ward.
Nice.
Which is great.
So you can kind of tune it to the matchup a little bit.
Exactly. So if you need to be a little bit more speedy, you can make him a little bit more speedy. You want him charge harder, you can make him charge harder. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
His artifact is a fan favorite of Splatter Cleaver. My other 2 heroes, I have the Fire Belly with Bellowing Ash. He's just kind of a staple in my older previous book list. But Billowing Ash, instead of being on an 8 to cast, is now on a 6 to cast.
Oh,
for
nice.
a -1 to hit. So that's super exciting.
An amazing spell.
Oh, it's such insane utility with it, and now going from an 8 to a 6 and being near the pod, it casts on a 5, which is insane. And then I have a Slaughtermaster here. He's now actually the same points as a Butcher, which is kind of wild because he provides better benefit. But he has Blood Feast, which is +1 attack to a unit.
Cool.
So that one's pretty good. And then I have 5 groups of fat boys. I have a unit of 6 gluttons here, a unit of 6 gluttons there, a unit of 12 gluttons here, a unit of 8 lead belchers here, and a unit of 4 lead belchers over there. And that's all wrapped up in a battle regiment, as well as I'm picking a new Grand Strat, which is actually identical to the one where you have to have more of your troops
in your opponent's territory
than they have their troops. So I think it's probably the best one. The other ones are a little bit harder to finagle in, but we were discussing it before. It is nice because in the case that the next GHB Grand Strats are even harder, this one gets to stick
Gives
around.
you a decent option,
So that's pretty cool. That's my list.
Awesome. Well, on my end, our YouTube members did vote for me to play the Idoneth Deepkin tonight. It's been a little bit, and I'm excited to play A build that I haven't done before, actually. It's kind of one that I originally was thinking about, but centered all around the Namarti, particularly the Thralls here, so playing Dom Hain, where potentially they get to activate twice in combat under certain circumstances. And I have, jumping to the heroes, I have a couple heroes to buff them up. The Thrall Master, which I haven't run before, just maybe once, I think, when he first came out, but his utility is questionable or situational. I do, though, have Lotan, Crabtan here today to give the +1 to wound, and then a Soul Render to bring guys back. So the Thralls obviously can pop off pretty well, or have the potential to. Otherwise, I do also have 2 units of 10 Namarti to fill out, Namarti Reavers to fill out my battle line. And then I have a Leviathan here, just another buff for the Namarti, +1 to save. Also gives me +1 to hit if I'm, when you get in close. And then finish off, going back to my heroes, I have my general is the Eidolon of the Sea. He's got the heavy duty caster loadout, so Arcane Tome, the trait to cast additional spells when he casts spells on a natural 7+. He rerolls naturally, so that makes it pretty good. And yeah, that's just some good utility there. And then I round things off with a unit of Aetherwings allied in. So it used to be a staple in 2.0 to have a couple units of them, and just a good cheap screen still. That was everything, and wrapped up in a battle regiment and then a command entourage. So put me at 4 drops, but did get me the extra artifact, which is always nice. And I think that's pretty much it. So Zach, you will have choice here, having outdropped me.
Yeah, and I think I'll give it to you to start off the game.
Yeah, the typical combat army. You love to give it away, but with that, we'll just jump into round 1, going into first turn for Idoneth Deepkin.
Unsure how best to reap the Ogre souls, the Deepkin battle tactic is desecrate their lands. The Eidolon and Tyrant both fail heroic leadership. The Eidolon casts Mystic Shield on the Thralls, Steed of Tides on himself, has Counter Current and the Burning Head unbound, then casts Arcane Bolt. Geez, enough spells. One of the units of Reavers garrisons the Gloomtide shipwreck. Want to help us grow? Send us super chat or super thanks to make sure we see your comment and help out with our current channel goal. The Gluttons use all-out defense as the Reavers shoot, dealing 4 damage. The next unit of Reavers uses all-out attack, dealing 5 more damage to the Glutton. The Leviathan shoots at the Gluttons as well, dealing 2 more damage. Hoping to draw the Ogres close, the Idoneth complete their turn without scoring their battle tactic.
Idoneth Deepkin turn 1 was pretty standard, nothing too crazy. My super heavy duty spellcaster, I obviously didn't want to risk putting him up too close, so I didn't get a ton of relevant spells off, and just obviously wanted to keep him relatively safe. The big one is I didn't mess with their charge, so they're potentially still threatening him. And then for battle tactics, obviously I failed mine here. There's no real, they're very tough in this round 1. I could have guaranteed that one by running something bigger or whatever, risking more to get it. But it wasn't very likely that I felt I would kill 5 of your big boys to be able to get it in shooting. And again, wasn't worth risking anything. I feel confident enough that there's other battle, I wasted a potentially good battle tactic, but Deep can have 4 or 5 that are super relevant that I feel comfortable that I'll still be able to get my 4 battle tactics throughout the rest of the game. So worth the risk. I had a shot at it actually, but the big thing here, the -1 to wound with the little Noblars actually made it really tough.
Yeah, the lookout Noblar on the banner screaming, screaming watch out to the Ogors. So.
Yeah, so that definitely hurt. I have some decent shooting. I actually had a big spike with my turtles hits, but you made the save. So yeah, on average with that -1 to wound, I wasn't likely to do it, but worth the risk. 2 points there could have been fun. That's basically it though. Kind of sitting in my castle, waiting for you to come up. And yeah, I have some defensive buffs and all that, so that's pretty much where things are sitting right now. We'll just jump into Ogor Mawtribes turn 1.
Yes, sir.
Hungry for some delectable elven flesh, the Mawtribes battle tactic is head-to-head. The Tyrant fails heroic leadership, while the Eidolon succeeds. The Slaughtermaster fails Blood Feast, and the Firebelly casts Billowing Ash. The Lead Belchers shoot at the Aether Wings, dealing 4 damage. The second unit of Lead Belchers deals 1 damage to the Reavers in the shipwreck. The Gluttons make a big charge and deal 5 mortal wounds on impact. The Reavers unleash Hell, dealing 8 damage to the Gluttons. Another unit of Gluttons charge the Thralls, dealing 2 mortal wounds on impact. The Tyrant deals 2 mortal wounds on impact, killing the Aether Wing. Good old Meat Fist. The Thrallmaster uses Way of the Vortex. The Gluttons use all-out attack and deal 6 damage to the Thralls. The Reavers deal 2 damage to the Gluttons. The Gluttons attack back, dealing 4 damage to the Reavers. The Thralls use all-out attack and deal 10 damage to the Gluttons. The Ogor's Gulting Bite kills the last Reaver and 1 Thrall, and the Gluttons and Thralls both use Inspiring Presence. With the first wave of Gluttons already feeding their bellies, the Ogor Mawtribes complete their battle tactic for 2 points.
Alrighty, so Ogor Mawtribes, first turn.
Yep.
It was an interesting one. Basically, I needed to get that charge off. That charge was incredibly important. It was my entire battle tactic.
Yeah.
Luckily, I did. I actually rolled a big 12 for my first charge, so the Ogors were ready to get in there, which was nice. They were hungry. And yeah, I just kind of moved up my force. Basically, Jor and I, just the way that our armies work, either of us can get into each other, like, no matter what, whoever goes. Yeah. So I just pushed up a little bit. But funny thing over here is I got cocky. I was just like, I want to see how many Thralls I can kill. So I actually did the all-out attack over here instead of it doing over there.
Yes.
Left a guy on 1 wound remaining.
Or 1 guy left, yeah.
Yeah, 1 guy left. And I was just like, crap.
Yeah.
But I have the new Ogre rule now. Instead of having their Gulping Bites tied to the Ogres, used to be 1 attack, 3s and 3s, no rend, 1 damage. It's now on a 4-up, D3 mortals. Yeah. So equates to about the same when you think about it, especially for smaller units like this. But it paid off, rolled the 4-up, and it saved me from my battle tactic.
Got the battle tactic, so it puts you 2 points ahead, which is always huge.
Yeah, so that was great. Luckily, that saved me from myself.
Yeah.
And not too much either. Just seems like we're going to be meeting in the middle of the board very shortly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you went into the Thralls. Notably, the Thralls didn't do it. They did like decent damage, like 14 damage or something,
Yeah.
or 12, but left one Ogre alive, so he's kind of sitting there in the middle, and the Tyrant also piled in to tie me up, so...
Yeah, I was not expecting that unit to live, so
Yeah.
I piled in the Tyrant, and I was just like, okay, well, at least I'll tag you with something.
Exactly,
right?
tie me up is nice, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we're just going to be
Yep,
going into priority.
Round 2.
I got a 3.
That's a 2.
Oh,
so...
classic, Jordan.
Yep.
I think I will take it.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll take it.
sounds good. So we will jump into Ogor Mawtribes turn 2.
Yes, sir.
Wanting to join their fellows as they feast, the Ogor Mawtribes battle tactic is against the odds. The Tyrant uses their finest hour, and the Eidolon fails heroic leadership. The Slaughtermaster casts Blood Feast on the Gluttons, and Firebelly fails Billowing Ash. The Firebelly's Fire Breath deals 2 damage to the Reavers. The Leadbelchers shoot at the Reavers in the shipwreck, but deal no damage. The big unit of Leadbelchers shoot at the Thralls, dealing 4 damage. Charging in, the Firebelly deals 4 mortal wounds to the Reavers on impact. The Leadbelchers deal 6 mortal wounds to the Thralls on impact. The Tyrant uses Forward to Victory that fails his charge. The Gluttons use all-out attack, finishing off the Reavers and killing 12 Thralls. The Thralls use Inspiring Presence, and the Soul Render returns 1 more with his Lure Light. Ripping their enemies apart limb by limb, the Ogres complete their battle tactic and score 7 points.
Okay, so Ogre's turn 2. Probably to little surprise, I took the Destruction Double. Just for... I had Jordan locked up, but I just couldn't resist charging in.
Yeah.
Especially with the new Ogres, so...
You also, like, you could have given it to me safely and not taken too big of a hit very likely, but it also gave you had the chance to cripple me.
I did, and I almost did. I almost wiped out that big unit of Thralls. I actually thought it was a guarantee that I would, just because I was +1 attack and +1 to
Very
hit.
close. You should have. You should have, but I rolled hot on my 4-up saves with +2 to save, so, you know.
Yeah, so you were pretty safe there. So, but I did clear out both unit of Reavers, so like both of them are gone. Jordan does have a few Thralls left. So we'll see how much he can bring back with a rally, but they can still do some good chunk of damage to some Ogres, definitely wipe a few out, but I still think I'm in a solid position here. Since it is the second battle round, we do score now. I also achieved my tactic. I went for the safe one just because those Thralls were +3 to, or sorry, those Reavers were +2 to save, and -1 to hit, and -1 to wound. So it was really tough, so I just did the safe one and just brought these guys back here. Yeah, so that's it for my turn.
Nice, solid one. I'll have to do some work to fight back into this one, but we'll just jump into Idoneth Deepkin, turn 2.
Yes, sir.
As the massive Ogres bear down at them, the Deepkin battle tactic is against the odds. The Eidolon and Tyrant both fail heroic leadership. The Thralls rally, returning 4 models. The Eidolon casts Tsunami of Terror and Cloying Sea on the Gluttons, Mystic Shield on the Leviathan, and Arcane Bolt and Burning Head. The burning head explodes, dealing 5 mortal wounds in total. The Leviathan shoots at the gluttons, dealing 2 damage. The Leviathan fails to stomp, then attacks the gluttons, dealing 16 damage to them. The Soul Render uses all out defense as the gluttons attack, but deal no damage. The Eidolon uses all out attack and finishes off the gluttons. The gluttons use all out attack, dealing 6 damage to the Leviathan. The Soul Render and Firebelly both deal no damage, and the Soul Render fails his Hangman's Noose. The Soul Render then returns 3 thralls with his Lure Light. As they try to turn the tide, the Idoneth complete their battle tactic and score 4 points.
Idoneth Deepkin turn 2 was solid. Could have done, even just with the turtle, easily could have popped 2 more dies if it had done to avoid those ones, but it happens, right?
It did luckily go both ways in my hitbacks as well.
So was hoping for a little more there. Tried to slay the Firebelly, just kind of a bit of a gimmick. Outside chance that it goes off. I felt pretty safe over there with him. Plus 2 to save right now with all the defense and the turtle, so he was all right. And put myself in like a decent position.
Oh yeah.
I just left my thralls out. I didn't send them in. Again, if I could have fit them in the turtle, maybe it'd be worth it. But here, it's kind of one or the other, so I just decided to keep them out, let them regen for a couple turns.
Yeah.
And that'll hopefully, be pretty handy. Help me to come back, because I'm definitely going to be down points here. I do get my battle tactic, I claim this one objective, and I at least get the bonus point because I remained off of it on your turn.
Yep.
So that I could get it with the Duelation Veterans here on this turn.
Yep, so 4 points?
Yep, 4 points, so down a few, especially considering round 1, but got to try and have a turn, either into round 3 or like start around 4. I got to try and cripple you to limit your story in the rest of the game.
Yeah, plenty of game to go though, right?
Yes.
And it is your strike first turn.
It is, this is true. So we are going into priority.
Yes, sir.
You'll win ties.
Yep.
That's a 2.
And that's a 3 again.
All right, Zach, you have the choice here.
Yeah, it's tough because you're already fighting first anyways, but I think I have to take it to try to minimize damage as much as possible.
Yeah.
Maybe get into those thralls and wipe them out. If I can, with the fight first. So I think I'll take it here.
Okay, sounds good. So we will jump into Ogor Mawtribes turn 3.
Yes, sir.
Focused on continuing their feasting, the Ogre battle tactic is eye for an eye. The Tyrant and Eidolon both use heroic leadership. The Gluttons rally, returning 1 model, and the Thralls return 2. The Slaughtermaster fails to cast Blood Feast, and the Firebelly casts Billowing Ash. The Thralls redeploy, moving 3 inches. The Lead Belchers use all-out attack and shoot at the Leviathan, dealing 1 damage. The next unit of Lead Belchers deals 2 damage to the Soul Render. The Leviathan fights at the start of the phase, dealing 27 damage. I think those ogres are regretting their life choices. The Soul Render deals 3 damage to the Gluttons. The Eidolon deals 4 damage to the Fire Belly, who survives with 1. The Lone Glutton deals 2 damage to the Leviathan, and the other deals 2 to the Soul Render. The Ogor's Gulping Bites deals 1 mortal wound to the Leviathan and finishes off the Soul Render. The Glutton uses Inspiring Presence. While the revelry was interrupted, the Ogres still complete their battle tactic and score 5 points.
So Ogor Mawtribes turn 3 here. Got kind of mulched a little bit more than I was hoping.
Yeah.
But it's tricky. Once again with IDK, it's always a tough spot in the third
Conundrum,
turn.
like, yeah, how do you do it? Especially as a combat army.
Yeah, like there's really not too much I can do. I decided to leave my Gluttons in combat. We'll see how horrible of a decision that was.
Yeah.
My thinking was, you'd get into them anyways, strike them first anyways.
Yeah, on my
probably,
turn.
like,
The same outcome would happen on your next turn, but
Exactly.
yeah.
In this case, like I might be able to do like a tiny bit more damage instead of just being like completely wiped. So, hindsight, knowing how much damage was done, you luckily got like a lot of your
out
stuff
of a
through.
30
No
potential
ones-
damage maximum, he did 27.
Yeah. So it was a tiny bit more than I was expecting, especially because I had the -1 to hit as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still 2s and 2s on all of your scariest stuff,
Yeah.
but I still expected a little bit less damage. But yeah, in hindsight, I would have retrieved them just so you would have had to do that damage again. But my main goal was to kill that one Soul Reaver.
Yeah, Soul
and
Render, yeah.
Soul Render. So I was able to get him by the skin of my teeth again with another Gulping Bite.
Yes, yeah, right at the end.
When I first looked at that rule, I said, okay, like whatever, it's not going to do anything. But so far, it has got me 2 tactics.
Yes, yeah, been big.
So it's kind of saved the day there. But yeah, it's I do still have some of my shooting units, and they're still decent.
Yep.
But my front line of boys here, I don't expect to last for too much longer, unfortunately, especially with the strike first across the board. So, but I still will score 5 points for holding my home, holding the middle, and getting my tactic.
Yep.
Which is good. And ready for a spooky.
Yeah,
Idoneth turn.
you have tied me up though, so even like, I'm not getting into a lot of things necessarily. So even with the double, it could still, there's lots of game left.
Oh yes, yeah, for sure.
And I have to, if at best, if it goes my way, I still have a lot of points to catch up. So yeah, we're gonna be grinding this out, and we'll jump into Idoneth, turn 3.
Yes, sir.
Capitalizing on their foe's failed gambit, the Idoneth battle tactic is the Assassins of the High Tide. The Eidolon fails heroic leadership while the Tyrant succeeds. The Thralls rally, returning 4 models. The Eidolon casts Arcane Bolt and the Burning Head, Tsunami of Terror on the Ogres, Cloying Sea Mist and Mystic Shield on the Leviathan, and Counter Current on the Lead Belchers. The Burning Head explodes, taking out both Gluttons, and the Eidolon's Arcane Bolt finishes off the Fire Belly. The Lead Belchers redeploy, moving 4 inches. The Leviathan shoots at the Tyrant, dealing 1 damage. The Thralls use Way of the Riptide. The Tyrant uses all out defense, but the Thralls deal 18 damage to him. The Leviathan fights next, dealing 12 damage to the Lead Belchers. The Lead Belchers deals 2 damage to the Leviathan and another 3 mortals with their gulping bites. Riding the wave of momentum, the Idoneth complete their battle tactic and score 5 points.
Idoneth Deepkin turn 3 was pretty perfect at this point.
Yeah, basically everything that you needed, and not even needed, just like anything that could go well kind of went well.
I mean, outside of like not killing, I did a decent amount to them, so
Yeah.
I'm not complaining by any means, but the 3 units that I was trying to tie up in combat with, I got all at the start of my movement phase, between the Burning Head and then the Arcane Bolt, so I cleared that stuff out, letting me to freely move and get into everything else. The notable things, obviously, the fact that I have a big unit of Thralls again is it's huge, right?
Yeah,
That's really the story of this game.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Thrall Master. Gotta rethink him. I really didn't like him, but he's pulling his weight here.
He made sure that they didn't die. He like gave them those exploding 6s. Tyrant was probably dead anyways, but he made it like a for sure thing that he was. So
yeah, very solid, and yeah, no complaints. Turtle also, I mean, I made a 12-inch charge with the Thralls, so I did get the full wraparound, all of them in combat.
Yep.
The Turtle needed an 8, rolled a 10, so he got in. Just
with 0 CP, you had no backup on it too.
I
right?
know, no CP at all, and no mercy for the new Battletome for the Ogors, but we will be into a priority here. I do score a couple points. I don't get the bonus point actually with the not having a GB on there, so something to think about, but
you will score your 5.
Yeah, I will, and we'll go into priority for turn 4.
Yes, sir. A 6.
That's a 1.
Okay, so I have to take it here, or else I'll get spanked a little bit.
Yeah.
So we'll go into Ogres turn 2.
Sounds good.
Angling to take down the monstrous Leviathan, the Ogre battle tactic is gaining momentum. The Slaughtermaster uses heroic leadership, and the Eidolon uses their finest hour. The Slaughtermaster casts Blood Feast on the Lead Belchers. The Lead Belchers use all-out attack, and the Leviathan defends, taking 2 damage. The other unit of Lead Belchers deals 1 damage to the Eidolon. The Lead Belchers deal 3 mortal wounds on impact, and the Leviathan stomps the Lead Belchers. The Leviathan uses all-out defense, but the Lead Belchers slim 1 hit through to finish him off. The Eidolon attacks the Lead Belchers, dealing 7 damage. The Lead Belchers fight back, but deal no damage. Bringing themselves back into the fight, the Ogres complete their battle tactic and score 6 points.
Okay, so Ogor Mawtribes turn 4. It went kind of okay. I was really hoping to kill the turtle in shooting. He lived with 1 wound, and then it would have allowed me to charge in here. The Thralls wouldn't have the +1 save anymore. I would probably be able to kill a good chunk. Like I'm all 2 damage, no rend, but
impact mortals,
all that sort of stuff. But unfortunately, could not get that off. So that Thrall unit continues to live to spite me. But luckily, was able to recap this objective because there wasn't too much of a presence on it with my 3 Lead Belchers, and in the end, the turtle did go down, which is great. I could have charged this guy in too to just get some more damage in on him and also help secure the objective, but Jordan has a teleport, so I wanted to make sure that he couldn't teleport just on the objective and score a huge 4 points for nothing. So, but besides that, not too much else happened. Couldn't really move too much, so that's
been pretty, but scoring solid points here, and that's
scoring another 6.
That's
which
still
is big.
the name of the game now is I have to get caught up and try and pull ahead in the last couple turns.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, with that, we'll just jump into Idoneth Deepkin, turn 4.
Looking to secure their catch of souls, the Idoneth battle tactic is gaining momentum. The Eidolon and Slaughtermaster both use heroic leadership. The Eidolon casts Mystic Shield, the Burning Head, and Arcane Bolt, Tsunami of Terror, Cloying Sea Mist, and Gaze of Gur on the Slaughtermaster, and Countercurrent on the Lead Belchers. The Burning Head explodes, dealing 3 mortal wounds to the Slaughtermaster. The Slaughtermaster redeploys, moving 3 inches. The Eidolon unleashes his Arcane Bolt, dealing 2 mortal wounds to the Slaughtermaster. The Thralls use all-out attack and do a very casual 38 damage to the Gluttons. The Slaughtermaster deals 1 damage to the Eidolon. The Eidolon then fights back, taking out the Slaughtermaster. Ending the threat of the cannibalistic Ogors, the Deepkin complete their battle tactic and score 10 points.
Idoneth Deepkin turn 4 was everything we needed to close it out for the most part. You do have 1 unit of Lead Belchers.
Yep.
Lead Belchers
nice.
left. And there's just too little too late, not enough that you can do really. I cast 1 million spells, still had extra casts if I wanted to, but nothing left to cast. I honestly, I think next time I would throw Flaming Weapon on him, because, I mean, he still decent damage, right? When so solid here, just, again, mortal wounds through the different spells. Burning Head has been a great pick here.
Burning Head might have actually won you the game.
Yeah.
For being able to move those guys, being able to come
Free
and hit
stuff
these
up.
guys. Yeah, that was...
Giving me potential 2d3 mortals, 3d3 mortals with his 1 spell in the hero phase.
Yeah.
It's just for, chipping those wounds off things has, been invaluable. So here I score the maximum I could with 10 points. And regardless of priority at this point, it's enough to be pulling, or I'm 1 point down, but no matter what, I'm going to be outscoring you in the final round.
Exactly.
So, well, just to talk about Deepkin real quick, because the only thing that matters here, not the only thing, but we're more excited about Ogors today, but just to quick, Dom Hain sub-faction, it's cute, never ran it because its ability is unreliable. The sub-faction, literally never used it once. Just between the turn priority, having Namarti units die, so I was only redeploying 1 anyways, not relevant. I would have strictly, and still fun, it's cute, it could be real big at different times. It has the potential, but in your average game, it's probably not to be as relevant as, say, bringing back 3 plus D3 Thralls, right? Because where you did bring them to 2 and should have killed that unit, I at that point might have still had 5 or 8 left if I had been bringing more back the previous turns. But it is what it is. Just a little note there, and then the only other thing is Thrallmaster has hugely worth his points here.
Oh yeah.
Definitely paid for it. The -1 to wound, in conjunction with the turtle, made the Thralls more tanky than they typically are. So yeah, can't complain about that. But Zach, we don't care. We're not here for Deepkin. First thoughts on the first game with Ogors?
Foot Ogors are still very meh. They don't really do a lot, like Jordan's kind of describing. This wasn't the necessarily most tuned list from Jordan's parts, and I mean, this necessarily wasn't the most tuned Foot Ogre list that you can do, because Underguts is probably the way to go still. But if you're expecting to be able to do melee combat with Ogres and kind of hold up in a competitive sense, I would say no. They're
not, definitely not cutting edge.
They would have maybe had a better performance, but the rolls also didn't necessarily go my way this game. So it kind of looks worse than it probably should have been on average.
Again, realistically, those 2 Thralls should have been dead.
Yeah.
And I don't have this unit that's done so much these last couple turns.
Yeah, and then like making both charges with no CP, like that was also huge. Like killing those guys there on 2-ups, then rolling 5-ups to wipe them. So it's just, it does look worse than it actually is, I think. But yeah, at least for my initial, they're better. They went from unplayable because Gluttons having no rend and only being like 1-inch reach and all that sort of stuff. It's fine for now, but if a new GHB came out and we lost the Battle Brothers or whatever it's called to be able to fight in two ranks, then they'd be screwed. There wouldn't be anything that they could do.
I can't believe they didn't go to 2-inch range.
They did go to 2-inch.
Oh, they did go to 2.
No, that's what I'm saying. So it's good that they went to 2-inch range.
Right, get you, sorry.
But yeah, and it's funny, the -1 rend actually didn't apply too much in this because you're either in cover or with the turtle. So it didn't apply too much, but that will make a difference. People say -1 doesn't make too much of a difference because you just buff up saves enough, but it still costs a CP or still makes them focus a spell.
And you can only do that in one spot.
Exactly. So I still think that's a good change. I think they definitely got a facelift. Their points also went up a little bit too, though. The only points that really didn't go up in the entire book were just lead belchers. That's why I wanted to try out a few of them. And the shooting was fun. Shooting was, I can definitely see a fun Underguts list with 4 cannons and a bunch of lead
There's
belchers.
another build, they get +1 rend.
Yeah, they get an additional rend. So these guys will be rend 2, the Iron Blasters will be rend 3, and so they can do some decent damage. So that'll be exciting. I just don't have the models for that currently, but I may invest in them later. But yeah, still fun. Still love the Ogres. But I don't think that they necessarily got the push to bring them up where I kind of wanted them to be, which was like the higher B tier. I think like this build personally was maybe like a high C tier-ish. And then I think Underguts and then Beast Claw Raiders is still going to be the way to go going forward. But I think those builds are definitely viable. Yeah,
nice that it does bring them up though, and like still the bottom end of kind of that middle. We hope all the armies want all the armies to be in. But like you said, from unplayable, it makes them able to. I mean, again, if not for a few dice, win against a solid, middle of the pack army, or if not upper middle for sure.
So yeah, they're still fun. I'm really glad. Like they improved a lot of things. They made the Ogres just a lot better to play with and a lot less feels bad to play with. Between the range and then these guys actually being able to like get a decent amount of shots instead of being 1d6, they're 2d3 now, which is great. But yeah, still tons of fun. Still love them. See if I can fine tune or find anything in the book more. But yeah, in terms of foot ogres, generally still where they probably would have ended up in anyways.
Nice. Well, here again, they're 2 wounds away from potentially this game being flipped and they taking a big advantage. But here, obviously, Idoneth come back and just get the points in the end. But Zach, either way, it was a great game, always a blast.
Yeah, it was tons of fun.
Yeah, so guys, hope you enjoyed this match. Don't forget to check out our YouTube membership if you want more content, more videos, more everything.
More everything.
Private Discord, all that fun stuff. And it goes a long way to help support the channel, so we super appreciate it. But either way, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this match, and we'll see you soon in another video.
Have a good one, guys.